Hey everybody, I'm Chuck Nylasek from Rock Talk and Plymouth Rock TV, and we have an amazing show for you today. We have a great guest, and before I make that reveal, which you already know because you saw it in the thumbnail, I just want to give a shout out to some of the supporters that make this all possible. We're here at the Setting the Space outlet at the Kingston Collection, and this is the Plymouth Rock TV Octane Media Studios. We have great sets here. We have 3 or 4 different sets, and we change them all the time. And we work with businesses who come in and they want to do a podcast or get some marketing or some PR. And it's an awesome location. It's Master Control along with St. Petersburg, Florida. We have a great office down there and teammates that are helping us get the best of New England out to you on your streaming device. So you can download Plymouth Rock TV on Roku, Apple TV, Amazon Fire, Google. We have a web player, www.plymouthRockTV.lightcast.com. You can get it on your mobile device, your iOS, your Android, and all the links are right there on our website on PlymouthRockTV.com. And it is the best of New England, best people, places, stories, events, experiences that New England has to offer for a global audience. Yes, we have hundreds of thousands of subscribers and viewers right here in the New England area, but we also reach all countries across the world, I guess 3 countries that let you download things. And we invite you to come and be a part of the Plymouth Rock TV experience. And here are some groups that are part of the experience and who have supported us. The Ye Olde Pilgrim Washing Well, which is a laundromat right here in the Plymouth area. And they have this great pickup and delivery service of your laundry. And it's the Laundry Fairy. And we've had her on. You put your dirty laundry out front in the morning and then waving the pixie dust over it. You have fresh folded laundry in your bag delivered to you, I think within the 24-hour span. It's an awesome service. And by the way, if you sign up for the service, you get a $25 gift card to Setting the Space. So that's something you're going to want to take advantage of. Next, we have a great friend, Brian, who has been a longtime friend of mine since I was little, and a Plymouth guy, but lives in Scituate now, and launched this company called Mosquito Hunters, and we want to support them. But this is a great service for getting those pesky bugs and ticks and no-see-ums and the disturbances that are going to make your cookouts, barbecues, family events miserable. You know, you don't want to get triple E and Lyme disease and all that. And they have treatments, I think, as low as $59 a month. So again, call them up, tell them that Plymouth Rock TV sent you, say hello to Brian. And we also have the Pilgrim Fence Company, a South Shore family-owned business. Great. They take so much pride in their work. They do an incredible job installing fences and posts of all kinds. They work with a lot of other partners to really enhance your backyard and do some custom work for you. And so here we are. We're on Rock Talk, and this guest, I've tried to get him on for a long time, and he's been in the peripheral of music for decades, of bands like Van Halen, Kiss, Bruce Springsteen, and then in the management world with like Livingston Taylor and all these other acts, and you started the Boston Management Group, which we're going to talk about later on. We also have, you have a great nonprofit that you're working on. I'm excited to talk about that. And you've been at the Berklee College of Music for how long now?
Going on my 13th year.
13th year. Ralph Jacodine, you know, thank you so much for coming down, and it's good to see you, as always.
Likewise, Chuck.
Thank you. It's good to be seen, trust me. It's like, you know, these days, when I wake up, I go, God, let my heart beat another few minutes.
I got you.
You know?
But you're always involved with interesting projects. And, you know, as a manager of music, there's a lot of people involved with interesting projects. And sometimes they don't become the next Noah Kahan or Bruce Springsteen or Beyonce, but they have a life of doing good art. Mm-hmm. And I put you in that category of really doing, you work hard and you do interesting projects. So I'm in.
Well, you know. More about me. Keep going. I like this. I think you say you're going to win the most complimentary guest. We've got to have some sort of special award for the guest that comes on and who says the nicest things to the host. I mean, come on. Pat on.
True.
You know. True. No, but thank you so much. And I always find that the people in my circle that I felt like I could reach out with a text, hey, come on the show, are the type of people that are so interesting that you don't even know the type of stories that just flow out, like something comes to mind. This guy, tell me about your Pennsylvania born.
Great.
In an Amish community,
yeah.
right? No electricity.
No
but
electricity. So it's Allentown, Pennsylvania.
Okay.
And it's north of Philadelphia.
I
about
recognize
an
that from
hour.
William Joel's
Yeah.
hit song.
Yeah, Billy wrote about our town, and he was right on with
Yeah.
what it was. It's a blue-collar, kind of gritty, hard-working town.
Yep.
And I loved being part of it. And then when I graduated college and high school and college, I didn't really go back. I go back once a year or so, but I love Allentown, Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
And it was equidistant between New York and Philadelphia, so it's a good market for music and touring.
Okay. Yeah.
Because people used to come to Allentown and then go to one of the major markets, but they could come to our town and a lot of times the first show of a tour would be in Allentown to kind of get the kinks out and all that stuff. But it was a great place to be from. I loved Allentown.
And even like Hershey, Pennsylvania, they had, it's like the old ABA league places where they would have these little convention centers and arenas that would be small, but then they would have bands, great acts that would come through there, like smaller, the blue collar communities and stuff like that.
So we had agricultural hall, and then we had the fairgrounds.
Okay.
And one is 15,000 capacity, one is I think 3,000 capacity. So that's where the shows were.
Okay, yeah.
And, back in those days, we had, 3 or 4 channels on television. We had 3 channels rock radio.
Right.
And that was it. So when the talent would come into Allentown and blow us away, everybody would be there.
Yeah.
So in Allentown, they had, like my start was I was playing with Connie, Patty, and Ralph. And we played at the 5:30 folk mass at church. And then I started a little coffee house series, and so we did that. But then in Allentown, my junior year in high school, I was part of something called the Allentown Council of Youth, and that's the student government for the 3 high schools we had. And there was a Deep Purple concert, I think it was, years ago, and there was a riot. So the police and the mayor said, no more concerts, no more rock concerts. Years later, they came back and they said they could be rock concerts, but they're going to be co-promoted by this Allentown Council of Youth. So half the proceeds, the profits, if there were some, go to this group. And what we did was we had Youth Speaks workshops, and we had free concerts and dances and stuff like that. So we made the money, and then we put it into our community.
So you were doing something out of nothing all the time, like creating through opportunity.
Right. So,
and then, so go ahead.
So junior year, I became, junior and senior year, I became vice president and president of this group. Okay. So we were doing great things for the community, but the promoters used to come to us and say, well, we have Kiss and somebody, Kiss and Rush doing a tour. Right. Are you interested? And of course we would say yes. So we would co-promote with real promoters from outside. And then we'd have these concerts. So that's the Kiss, and that's the Rush, and that's the Hall & Oates, and the Kansas, and the Livingston Taylor, Deep
Hall &
Purple.
Oates is one of my favorites.
Yeah.
Amazing.
And so we were doing all these great concerts.
Yeah.
And when you're living in a small town and you're part of something that's bigger, the biggest thing you ever seen, it changes you. You can't go back.
Right. True.
So I knew that, and it's all I wanted at that time is to get out of my town, and I wanted to see where Rush is going next. I wanted to get in the bus and just see America.
So you traveled over the rainbow into a pot of gold led by a leprechaun, and brought you to Notre Dame.
So I went to Notre Dame, and I did the same thing at Notre Dame.
You played basketball at Notre Dame.
My roommate did.
I knew that. But I was. Did you ever ball? Did you ever play ball?
I loved to, but I was always small. I grew 6 inches in college.
So
6 inches.
So was Rudy. Rudy was
exactly.
He went there and he made something out of nothing.
So I was.
Who was your roommate?
My best friend was a guy named Gilberto Salinas.
Oh, okay.
Number 55, and
he played in the NBA.
He was a high school All-American. He got into Notre Dame. He was part of great teams at Notre Dame. He got drafted by the Atlanta Hawks, busted up his knee, and he played pro for the Mexican Olympic team. Okay. And then pro in Mexico.
Wow. Okay.
And he's living in Arizona, and he's one of my best friends. but he calls himself 6'11".
Yeah.
Because I think 7 foot was odd for him. But he's
7.
tall. He's
Yeah.
he's a
You know,
tall
it's
boy.
funny you just brought that up, because I was just having this conversation about how life works and how you can envy somebody for being 7 feet and playing the NBA.
Yeah.
But if not for basketball, you're a monster.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's like, and people, you're just a giant. It's got to be awkward and stuff. And
Well,
so it's not an easy life to be Shaq.
But
you know,
at Notre Dame, nobody knew Ralph Jacodine.
Yeah.
And nobody cared about me. But my best friend and roommate was this amazingly talented athlete that plays varsity Notre Dame
basketball, right? Yeah.
big time basketball.
Sure.
And that opened up a lot of doors.
Yep.
And first of all, it gave me a lot of confidence. But everybody at Notre Dame knew Gilberto.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, in my dormitory was Joe Montana, the quarterback, and all these people, and everybody knew Gil.
Jeez.
And the athletes knew
Forgot
each other.
about Joe Montana
Right,
being there.
he was in my dorm.
And Dan Marino played for the Steelers, or went to Pitt.
Went to Pitt.
You know, so Pennsylvania. Man, you've got quite
So
the.
it was.
You're in the shadow of these athletes.
It was amazing to be, and we both majored in economics. We had no idea what we were doing, but we had a good time.
Sure.
And so that was amazing. So I became the concert director at Notre Dame. So we were doing arena concerts, and that's Van Halen and Springsteen and
I was going to say
all that
that,
kind of
you know,
stuff.
you must have carried this whole thing into college, where you've got
Yeah.
the permission slip to do
Right, and
spring
it was the same
events
thing. We were co-promoting with outside promoters
Right.
that did the Van Halens and the Springsteens and the Yes and things like that. But again, it was I was part of something that was bigger than anything I've ever been around. It was amazing to be part of that.
You know, in that similar route, you know, I go from Plymouth, I go to college, and had my hands in the student activities and did comedy. But we played in the concerts for spring. We had the Wailers, we had the Alarm, we had Live right before they hit it on the Woodstock tour or something like that, and we had Beaver Brown Band, John Cafferty.
Right.
So anyway, but like again, small school. We got these events, and it felt like at the time there was nothing bigger going on in the world than a show like that.
Right.
You know?
And you know, the kids these days have these little phone things, and the whole world's there.
Yeah.
But we didn't have that. So we were imprinted early by these musicians that would come to my town or my school and just blow us away.
Yeah.
You know, it was remarkable.
So in college you're seeing David Lee Roth come, and you're probably escorting backstage and doing all, you know, the stories you must have are rock and roll outrageous.
Yeah, but mostly the biggest thing in my life back then was spending a day with Springsteen, because in 1981 he just released The River, and he was coming to Notre Dame, and I got to spend a good deal of the day with him. And the writer had that Springsteen would like a Notre Dame football jersey. And his booking agent, Barry Bell, got one as well. So I delivered a Notre Dame football jersey that said Springsteen and one that said Bell. And that was my claim to fame. But just to see Bruce Springsteen do a 3-hour sound check, we would go to every little part of the arena with a walkie-talkie and communicate with the band and the sound person of what he's hearing, how you tune the room. And then he puts on a 3.5-hour show. And I see 15,000 people screaming and yelling the whole time.
Were you already a fan of his before then?
I was a fan. I was a big fan.
And then you became,
and
after that, it's a whole different level.
I thought that there's, you know, I remember when Bruce was ready to go out and the house lights went off and 15,000 people are saying, Bruce. And I could see, like, through the exit signs, I could see people way, way up there screaming and yelling. And his band was on stage, the house lights were off, and he was ready to run up 5 steps and come out for the first song. And it was so loud. If you've ever been in a place where 15,000 people are directing their noise that way, you vibrate, right? It was an amazing amount of energy. And then I saw Bruce was right next to me. We were kind of ducked down behind a speaker. And I looked around and I felt all this energy, and I go, I don't know anybody on the planet that has more power than my guy Bruce. And I made the connection to what I'm seeing and what I'm feeling to Springsteen and music in general, of the force this is on the world, on people like me, right? So
It is a spiritual experience.
It's very spiritual
You know,
experience.
and I like I've seen live shows with like, you know, a U2 or Coldplay where the arena or the stadium, and it's just the unity of the people that come
That's
together
right.
for a like a spiritual message of love or something, and it's
this
just
is,
like
this is rich, it's poor, it's young,
Yeah.
and it's old. It's on the left, it's on the right, it's atheists, it's people of faith, it's all these people getting together.
Yeah.
And there's very few things on this planet that can do that.
And I'd even say, you know, not to turn it religious, but I would even say it's impossible to be atheist after something like that because you know something is there. Like you just feel, you just know, okay, there's a guy playing an instrument and there's noise. It's something else. It's like
Right.
everybody connects, and it just is an unexplained feeling that you just can't put into words.
Right.
You know, and you can't describe it.
So that Springsteen experience kind of changed my life.
Yeah.
And I eventually, we graduated Notre Dame, and I sat on a plane going to London, and I sat next to a guy who had a Springsteen jacket on. And I go, wow, that's cool. And I go, where'd you get it? And we were putting our bags away, and he said something about the boss, and I go, yeah, but where'd you get the jacket? And he goes, no, he's my boss. And I said, well, he's my boss too. He's the boss.
Yeah.
And he goes, no, I work for him. And I said, what do you do? And he goes, I'm his booking agent, Barry Bell. And I go, Barry, I'm Ralph from Notre Dame. You know, got you the jerseys. And he goes, oh, thanks for that. A coincidence, right? A coincidence.
No.
And ended up going to see 5 shows of Springsteen in London at Wembley Arena, which was a great, amazing thing, right? It changed my life.
Right.
But before that, in high school, I went to Catholic school all my life. I was an altar boy. I worked with amazing people. And the pastor of our church was the head of the Catholic Relief Services, a big relief agency out of New York. His name is Monsignor Call, and he partnered with Mother Teresa. So when Mother Teresa in Calcutta, India, was bringing her ministry around the world, he partnered with Monsignor Call and the Catholic Relief Services to get it out there. She got it out there big time. She won a Nobel Peace Prize. She was asked to come to Washington, D.C. to address Congress after her Peace Prize. And she was one of the most popular people on the planet at the time. It was like Lady Di and Muhammad Ali and Mother Teresa.
Well, she's a saint.
Exactly.
You know, right? I mean,
so the night before, the day before Congress, she went to Philadelphia, and they had a mass for her at Veterans Stadium where the Eagles played. So there was about 65,000 people for a mass of this woman. And then that day before, she was at our church in Allentown. And I was able to shake her hand, take photographs, and just be really this close to Mother Teresa. And that was I knew she was, you know.
I'm glad I'm on that list.
I knew she was like a living saint, and she won the Peace Prize. She wasn't Springsteen to me, you know.
Right.
But it was a big deal. And then later on in my life, as I'm telling the Springsteen story, I'm thinking 3 years earlier, I met this woman, this tiny little woman, who had a big impact on our world. But then the next day, I went to Veterans Stadium, and I was part of 65,000 people to say a mass for her. And I think, I don't know anybody on the planet that doesn't have a hit song or is not a supermodel or a billionaire that can bring 65,000 people to thank her, to worship her. And then I made the connection between spirituality and why are we here with music. So she was here to serve, and she did, big time, and to love. But so is Springsteen.
It takes me down even school of thought with you being at Berklee, and how I'm probably to an obsessive point into hearing stories. I listen to podcasts of near-death experiences and things like people have crossed over and come back, and they have these profound life lessons. And one of the astounding things that is almost universal to all of them is that how that eternal life is all about vibration and
Yeah.
music and sound and everything.
Yeah.
Every blade of grass that they see has a sound and a frequency, and the perfect notes that you can't even hear here. So they're seeing colors that you can't. Colors sing, you know, and they're
Yeah.
describing these things, and they're like, "This is a black and white movie compared to that." And vibration and music and sound, there's like in healing now.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, they say something like at 1,000,000 megahertz or something, it's like breaking up cancer cells in
Yeah.
people, and like it's not just like, hey, it's more to it.
Right.
You know,
Right.
and I don't know, do they do anything like that with science of
Oh,
sound?
absolutely.
And, yeah.
Absolutely. But what I do at Berklee is I teach this Intro to Music business class, and I teach in the business department. But the Intro to Music business is a classroom of, it used to be 50 to 100 people in a classroom, big class. And these are students that come to Berklee, and their parents are probably saying, you got to get some business. You got to figure out how to make money at this thing.
Yeah.
So they come to these intro classes. So I remember I was teaching, I had 95 students, and and I was looking at everybody, and they're so young, they're 18. They were in high school last year. And I'm saying, and I said, why music? And the person would look at me like, ugh. And I go, why music? And they would go, ugh. And then I would say, why music? Why music? And then like the fifth person, and I would walk up the aisle, would say, it's the only thing I could do. And then they would start answering, because I love it, because it changed my life, this and that. And then they would give me answers about why music, right? And then I go, all your answers are right, but you better have an answer. You better have an answer. It's hard. It's hard to be a musician. It's hard to make money with the arts. It's hard to make money with vibrating waves, right? So what I want to hear is what I got from Mother Teresa and what I got from Springsteen, that these people and other lots of others is that they serve, all right? And when you're of service, people will buy into you. They might actually do it with money and buy tickets, but you have an impact on this world. And when there's 120,000 songs being released a day on streaming services,
Right.
and I say that to my students, I say 120,000 songs. And then I go to my desk and I move my thing and I move this and I just let that sink in. And I look up and I look at the faces and I go like, why should someone care about your song? If there's 120,000 songs and you made a video and you went to the studio and you have a marketing plan and you're going to release a song, why should someone care about this song? You better have an answer. So, unlike me at college, I'm trying to challenge my students and the people I manage of why should somebody care? Why do you stand out? You know?
And I love basketball. You know, I threw that into the conversation a little bit, and I coached high school basketball for a little time, and I would always tell my players, I'm in the professional basketball world. And they would be like, what do you mean? And I said, well, I'm getting paid. I'm coaching you. And I'm like, it's not about, it's not fame and money. Sure, that would be nice. But if you love something, you love music, and you're playing to one person, that's your fulfillment, and they respond to you, and you touch their heart, then it shouldn't be about the money and the fame and that, because that's a separate chase, you know? But like when it comes to being a professional basketball, in professional basketball, you can be a stats guy. You could be coaching. You could do.
You know, there's this joke about a guy, an old guy, who's been following the circus around for years, and his job is to get all the cow dung and the elephant dump and all that stuff and clean it up.
Yeah.
You know? And he's been doing it for years and years. And somebody said to him, Joe, why? You've been doing this for years and years. You're an old man now. Why don't you retire? And he goes, you mean quit the entertainment business? You know?
Right.
And he loved it. He loved to be part of that.
Right.
I'm not, I don't want to be, nor am I good enough to be on stage.
Do you play any music?
I used to play. I used to play music.
And by used to, does that mean like you don't pick it up at a barbecue or something at all?
I don't.
Really?
I don't at all, no.
Why?
And I used to play because I started to, I met a guy named Ellis Paul, and then I met a guy named Martin Sexton and Chris Trapper, all these great artists, and I started to work with them and manage them. And I go like, if I spent every day, 14 hours a day, trying to write songs and be as good as Ellis Paul or Livingston Taylor or something, there's no way I could do it. But I'm really good at other things. I like to market, I like to promote, I like to encourage, I like to motivate, I like to market. So all those things that I didn't think were important came to me because I have a passion for putting on a show. I have passion for encouraging people. So that's my
Do you
art.
have a secret when you're, going into the art of management and business side of it that you have that you think is proprietary to Ralph Jacodine, in the sense that you have a strategy? Like if you were meeting with an artist for the first time and saying, here's what I can do, here's what makes me different from others, what would that be?
I wouldn't say what makes me different from others. I would, if I'm interested in an artist, I would ask them what their plans are. I would ask them what their goals are. I would ask them about their family, about their idols. I would ask them where they want to be in, what I do is like, where do you want to be in 1 year, 3 years, 5 years? So if I'm going to work with somebody, after 5 years, you should be making some money and you should have a groove going. But I want to know what they think about that stuff. Because a lot of times people think because you have a manager or a record label or something like that, it's just, they're going to take care of you. But it's 1 + 1 = 3.
Yeah.
It can be, or it could equal 33.
Is it harder today than it was back then, in the sense that you mentioned there were 3 channels on your TV and there was X amount of radio stations, where now the accessibility to music is everywhere, but it's a different business. People aren't selling albums or CDs, they're streaming. In some respects, it's easier because you have social media. You're not waiting for the radio station to play. You can get it out on YouTube or Instagram, whatever. What do you think? Is it just harder, easier, or it doesn't matter? It's just
it was. I went to hear David Byrne from the Talking Heads give a talk, and he was asked that question. And this was probably 15 years ago, when Al Gore started the internet, and he goes, before it was so hard to get any kind of attention with your music, but because of the web and streaming and all that stuff, everybody could get that attention. And that's the problem. Everybody thinks they're good enough. Everybody can release things. And some of them are good, but they'll never find traction. It's hard. Hard.
And it's hard to, that's a great point, because I've given up trying to guess what works and what doesn't, because there's some things that just blow my mind that anybody even likes.
Yeah.
And then there's things that I think are masterpieces that
too.
don't take, and you go, geez, it's like, what is it? Is there a formula? I thought maybe it was the Illuminati, or making the deal with the devil with the violin.
I'm up for any of that. But I have dear friends. My mentor, my first mentor and hero is Tim Collins, who managed Aerosmith for years. So I called myself. I graduated college. I did commercial real estate. I was playing music and promoting little coffee houses and stuff like that. And then when I was 30, my client in commercial real estate was Mike Dries from Newbury Comics, one of the founders. And I was showing him locations. And Mike is an MIT trained economist who started Newbury Comics with punk rock albums and stickers and stuff like that. And he grew it into a really big business. But he was a client in real estate. I had a dream about starting a record label after 12 years commercial real estate. And I said, Mike, I had a dream about starting a record label. And I was driving around the South Shore, actually, around here. And he says, and I found this artist named Ellis Paul. And I really want to put his album out. I had no idea what I was doing. And number one, what my mantra is, be foolish and fearless. And it served me really well all my career. And the older we get, it's hard to be foolish and furious.
Right.
But I was full of foolishness and fearlessness back then. So I quit commercial real estate. I started a label for Ellis Paul with Mike Dries from Newbury Comics. And then I started a whole new career.
Wow.
And
How old were you?
I was 30.
Okay.
Married and a kid on the way. So like real life stuff.
Right, yeah.
But I had a dream about starting a record label. 2 weeks later, I got a call from somebody from a church in Methuen. And they said, "Are you Luke?" I don't know. And they said, "Are you Ralph Jacodine?" I said, "Yes." And they said, "Well, you won our grand prize raffle of $1,000. And, you know, at commercial real estate, I would have 20 clients at a time. And I would buy raffle tickets from kids or their kids or something. And I won $1,000.
Wow.
So I quit real estate. I got Mike Dries to be my partner. I got Ellis Paul to say yes. And then I won $1,000. So I was just on a roll, right? And then I remember going to one of my first meetings with Mike Dries. And Ellis was on the road in Los Angeles, and we were thinking about, okay, we got $12,000 together, and Ellis got $12,000, and we 50-50 in everything. And we were talking about this, and I was going to have a meeting with Mike Dries. So I went to Newbury Comics, and he has a real job. It's a real business, right?
Yeah.
So I went into the conference room, and I had a conversation with him I said, you know, listen, I just heard from Ellis on the way in. He won the acoustic underground competition at the Troubadour last night in Los Angeles. And Mike was like doing something. He was off but this is big. Like, this is a national competition. He won some money and he's going to get the money and put it into our marketing. And we could use this as promotion. It's a big thing.
Yeah.
And Mike goes, yeah. I go, Mike, they don't seem too interested. And he goes, Ralph, nobody cares about Ellis Paul. And it hit me like a ton of bricks. And I had like a coming to Jesus moment. I felt I was going to throw up because I was doing good in commercial real estate. I didn't believe in it. I believe in music. Changed everything. And I'm married and having a kid.
So did that,
And
so you were sick with nerves? Like,
no,
or just
what
the,
am I doing with my life?
okay.
Like, foolish and fearless, all in, starting a label, have a great partner, have a great artist, this and that, everything's going great. And then Mike says, no one cares about Ellis Paul. And he's my business partner. It was a short meeting. And I was going to go home. I got in my car and it was in an underground garage and I backed out, put it in reverse, backed out and I hit a pole. Underground garages have poles, by the way, Chuck. Your viewers should know that. And I hit a pole and I go, oh no. So I put it back in and I turned off the engine. I go, I got to deal with this. Because I was upset. I feel like, what am I doing with my life? Who am I fooling? I'm 30 years old. Like I have responsibilities. And then I thought, I got it. And it was just like in basketball. I was the littlest guy on the court, but I was the most aggressive guy on the court. And I go, I'm going to make people care about Ellis Paul. That's my job. So that's what I called myself a manager. I thought I was like, I have a record label, whatever that meant. But that time, I'm going to make people care about Ellis Paul. I believe in him so much. So that's when I called myself a manager. And then, keeping on the foolish and fearless thing, is like I never met a manager in my life. I met Springsteen's booking agent. But I never really knew a manager.
So you built the role almost in your mind.
In my mind, I built the role. So
because I think I think of manager and I think of Spinal Tap and they're just taking all the shit and dealing with all the stuff so the artist can be the artist.
You're right.
Yeah, but everybody's probably different because managing means you manage your kids, you manage friendships, and it requires different soft hands in every circumstance, right?
And the odds of success in the music business are so small. But I didn't know it and I didn't care. So because I never met a manager, I called up the office of the biggest manager I ever heard of, is Tim Collins, who managed Aerosmith for years. And Tim and Aerosmith were always in the papers, right? One of the biggest bands in the world from Boston. So I called up Tim Collins. I eventually got an appointment to see him. I had the CD. I had my good shoes on. I had my business card. I went to Tim's office at the top floor of this building in the Back Bay. And he saw me. He took my appointment because my partner in the record label was Mike Dries from Newbury Comics. And everybody knew Mike Dries. Just like everybody knew my roommate at college, which I could draft off him. Everybody knew Mike Dries in the music business. So Tim says, yeah, sure. If you're partners with Mike, come on in. So I had this wonderful conversation with Tim Collins, just 15 minutes. I gave him my stuff and I left his office so happy. I breathed the same air as the Aerosmith manager.
All right, why don't we hold up for a second, because I want to get to that and come back. We're going to take a short break, and when we come back, we're going to talk about this new project Ralph is working on called Rock Bottom, and we'll take a break. We'll be right back in just a minute.
Here's a question. Have you heard of mosquito hunters? Me neither. I'm a mosquito and I live on the South Shore. Just letting you know that me and 1 trillion of my best friends won't be able to crash your dumb cookout or that fat kid's birthday party you were looking forward to attending. These stupid mosquito hunters ruined everything. Look at this website. Are you kidding me? It's like they don't even want us bugs around. They spray their dumb treatments, and next thing you know, your property won't have us bugs around. Don't call mosquito hunters at 781-783-5895. And whatever you do, don't look for them on Facebook or Instagram. Imagine a summer without itchy stings and bites. Good luck.
Once upon a time, the ye old pilgrim washing well decided the dirty laundry madness must end. Laundry would pile and pile until it couldn't get any higher. All hope seemed lost. But that is when they sent the laundry fairy out to save the world. This fairy would swoop in, pick up your dirty laundry and return it washed, cleaned, folded and fluffed. And to those who signed up for this magical service, by simply scanning the code or calling the number here, you will receive a $25 gift card to Setting the Space. Setting the Space is the region's top interior designers with retail stores scattered all over the South Shore and Cape Cod.
So currently, you're working on a pretty cool project, it seems. Tell me a little bit about, was it Rock Bottom?
It's called Rock Bottom.
Cool name.
It's a musical, and it started by a guy named Woody Giesman. And Woody is the drummer of a band called the Del Fuegos, a big Boston band.
Right.
We're signed to Warner Brothers. And the band, years ago, had a lot of success. And then everybody was lost in their addictions and things like that. So they kind of busted up for a while.
So tough.
Woody got himself straight.
Yep.
And then he studied about addiction and became an addiction specialist. And I bring him into my classes at Berklee to talk about his career and what he's doing now in helping people with recovery. He has 30-some years of recovery now. So he came in, and one of my students wanted to interview him for the project. They had to interview somebody in the music business, and they interviewed Woody. And everything was fine. And about 2 years later, she's touring through Boston. She's from Los Angeles. And she's successful, and she's doing well. And she says, I'm touring in Boston. Do you have time to sit down and catch up? And I said, sure. So
to you?
Yeah. So she came into my office, and we were talking about the tour and what's going on and how's Los Angeles and that. And then she goes, you're probably wondering why I'm here. And I go, no, it's nice to hear from my students. She goes, I'm here to apologize for being, bad in your class. And I don't remember her being bad in the class, but she said she was having a tough time with drugs and alcohol and mental health. And then she says,
like a high-functioning almost student, if you didn't notice. It wasn't like passing out or something.
Right.
Yeah,
and she says, because I interviewed Woody Giesman for my project, I ended up going and getting help from him and getting into recovery. and he saved my life.
It goes back to the service thing you were talking about,
Right.
with music being
Right.
not just the songs, but
Right.
wow.
So that was, she goes, that exercise, that interview saved my life. Wow. So I told Woody the story, and this is a story he hears a lot because he's in the job of saving lives. And then I wanted to help him. So I got on the board of Right Turn, his place for recovery for many years.
Was that ever a thing in your life? Did you ever?
For some reason, no.
Yeah.
The grace of God go I, right?
Yep.
I've been around it. I've lost friends. I've seen it. And as a parent and as a manager and as a student, teacher, I need to know. I need to know as much as I can. So Woody and I were partners I was on his board, and then during the pandemic, he started to write this. It was a rock opera at first. It's like a story about recovery, a story about that it's possible, and how terrible addiction is, and how you can get healthy, and you can save your life, and have fun. So he brought together Tony V, the comedian Tony V, for the funny in there. And then Simon Kirk, who's a rock star, he was in the band Free, and then the band Bad Company. So Simon Kirk is a rock star, and he's going into the Hall of Fame in a couple months. So Simon, Woody, and Tony wrote this script. And then they went into the studio, and they got Tom Hamilton from Aerosmith to play bass. They got Barry Goudreau from Boston to play guitar, Stu Kimball from Bob Dylan to play guitar. And it goes on and on and on up until Daryl McDaniels, who's DMC of Run DMC. They wrote a song with Daryl, 50 Ways to Love Your Liver, and Daryl's going to rap on it. So it's this.
So it's a musical.
It's
stage
a musical,
yep.
Right? So we're going to let's see, what is it today? It's June.
June. Yep.
So in September, our friend Ernie Bach Jr. is going to sponsor a fundraising party, so we could raise funds and get this launched.
It's the divine intervention of like people coming together for to touch somebody's life.
That's
and
right.
And I think nowadays it's just so much scarier when you're a parent and they can touch a drug and die right then.
Right. We didn't have the fentanyl
Right.
and the stuff that's out there. So Tony and Woody and Simon are in long-term recovery, and they're brothers. It's a beautiful, beautiful relationship.
Yeah. Wow.
And this is an important project. The idea is this helps people laugh, listen to great music, and seeing that getting help is possible, being sober is possible, and because of 30 years of sobriety for all of them, they know that these people aren't dead. They're in their prime. They're having fun, and they're having a great life, and so it's possible. So I want this play, and I'm managing this group. I want this play to give people encouragement, entertainment, encouragement, and then every market that has played it, I want there to be something. Because everybody's touched by addictions, whether it's your family, your company, your friends, your schoolmates. Where to go for help? How do you get help? And recovery is possible. So there's a lot with this project that fits what I'm about. And I'm Woody. While we were taking a break, I just got a call from Woody because I have a meeting with him tonight. And his job, he's an interventionist, Woody Giesman. And so he gets, there's some Hall of Fame people, and there's some regular people, and this and that are struggling. And his job, his ministry, if I could, his mission statement is to help people with their addictions. And, but for the grace of God go I.
It's just, I'd love to meet him, talk to him about this.
You will.
Because,
You will.
It's, how do you touch somebody who is not able to be touched? Like that's that intervention.
Right.
I mean, they're not feeling, they don't feel anything at that.
Right.
You've eliminated you've run from those emotions that you should have dealt
I'll,
with.
I'll make sure you talk with Woody and all the
fascinating
other
to
guys,
me.
because the Rock Bottom project's great.
Yeah.
And we have a website that's being changed, but it's rockbottom.band.
Okay.
And we're going to be doing social media. We're going to be launching this, and it's great.
Yeah.
And my job and my career is to create or to be around something that's created from nothing.
Right.
And put it out there.
Yeah.
And see where it goes.
Well, I want to thank you too for the, even when you brought me to the Folk Music Hall of Fame at the it's the Bach Center.
Bach Center.
And it was the Bruce Springsteen exhibit.
Yeah,
and
right.
I was touched at how touched you were. I mean, I was a fan, but it was the photographs of some photographers in Bruce's life, right?
Right.
And then watching you see that was like,
yeah,
I could see the movies being played in your head and stuff, and
right.
and so for me, I'm always fascinated by the periphery of art. Like what goes around and what comes of not just what appears on stage, but the innovation, the spark of how something is written to how it's reflected upon later on down the road. And then even with like something like Rock Bottom, it's an endless story that never comes to an end, because it just gets carried. I mean, I was down in Florida Mother's Day weekend with my wife, and we were listening to music, and I just had this weird thought, but I was like, it's like ghosts, because we're listening to music. Everyone was deceased that we were listening to. And I'm like, and they're living on through the music that Jimmy Buffett and, everybody. And it was as alive as they were in the next room. Music, art, writing, poetry, movies, comedy, they last forever.
I was at Notre Dame staying at my friend's uncle's house, who's a priest, like a kind of world famous theologian guy. And we were watching television, and above television he had a bookshelf, and they had about 10 of his books, Father McBride. So all of his books there. And I'm looking at the shelf, and I go like, this 70-year-old guy has, I don't know how much time, but this is what he's leaving behind. And I don't write the books, and I don't write the music. So what I leave behind, what do I leave behind? And I think of that, and I challenge my students to think of that too. What is our legacy? Why would someone care that we were on this planet?
And and you're a Catholic guy, and I think being spiritual or Christian or whatever, you say we're all gifts, and we're all made in God's image. We're all perfect beings with different purposes and stories to tell. And video to me has been fascinating as I watch generations of World War II guys pass away, and they never told their stories, and their families don't know them.
Right.
And my grandfather went to Iwo Jima and came back, and I had this conversation with my mother the other day, a different person. Yeah. And they didn't know who came back. And my son gave me a book at Christmas, which was like my father's story, and you just it's all these questions, you fill it out.
Yeah.
But like, how many people will pass away and their stories just go with them, and they have the opportunity to just look? Everyone's got iPhones. Sit down with your family and just say, hey, let's talk about your life, and what a gift to leave to your grandchildren, great-grandchildren. Wouldn't you love to see that? When
I was in Allentown, I wanted to get out of Allentown. I wanted to have a bigger life than I saw in Allentown. And I saw sports stars, and I saw athletes, and I saw rock stars and all that stuff, and I wanted something bigger. And when I was 10 years old, I remember this nun said, if you want to be a better writer, and I wasn't a writer, write every day. So I've been writing a journal every day since I was 10. So it was started out to be a page a day, and now
to this day?
Yeah, now it's digital. And so I have about 50 books of every single day of my life, one page. And if I'm sick or something, like I'm sick with the flu or something and can't get out of bed, but then, it's what I did or what I think and this and that. So I was always thinking about, like, I want to do this for my kids. I don't think they'll be interested in this, but I want to get to a stage where I could read these and summarize what I've done, like the Mother Teresa story.
But it would be a
Or
gift
the-
to you because I'm sure you've forgotten most
Yeah,
of what you've
yeah,
written.
it's amazing. It's
wow,
amazing.
that's incredible. That's one of the most incredible things I've ever heard.
Well, you know something, somebody said that to me, and I go, it's just what I've done, but
It's
yeah,
your everyday routine, but it's not for
I have to
everybody.
do it every day. And now I do it digitally, so I could put in a picture. So I'll get a picture of you and I, and that would be my picture of the day.
Jeez, that's amazing. And that is something that, like, again, is the most, you wonder why drugs and alcohol didn't affect you or something, because you're doing such a self-healing, meditative thing with that every day that your whole mind, body, spirit is just in line. You don't even know what that does for you.
Right.
Because I think that when I do my research and self, help kind of deep dives, it's always about journaling. It's about you manifest the thought to the paper, and then you're like releasing pain and energy onto something, and then manifesting future dreams. Ralph, that's incredible.
So
Like,
what
I'm
I have my
blown.
students do is
Yeah.
they had to do a gratitude journal of what you're grateful for that day.
Yep.
And just a paragraph. And you can't repeat. So if it's your cat or your mom or something, you can't repeat. And then it gets to a cup of coffee. And I said, like, how many people have coffee? So, half the class. Do you know what's involved with coffee? And I go through the process of the bean and growing the bean and planting and sun and watering and then picking and then shipping and then grinding and roasting and then go to Whole Foods and then it comes to my house and then and it's like, it's completely fascinating, but we take it for granted. Oh, a cup of coffee. Oh, electricity. Yeah, we take everything for granted.
Well, the miracles, like, I've changed a lot since I've known you. And I don't know change, but like self-inflection and all this. And you wonder where God is, right? And he's all around. And it surrounds us, or she, the being of like the complete entity around us. And we say, why isn't it like the times of the Bible where we see miracles all the time? Well, we take for granted that the sun rises. The sun doesn't rise, the earth turns around it, but our perspective of something, right? Or the greatest miracle of human creation of like having a baby comes with 9 months of waiting and then pain beforehand. And then you can kind of see breakthroughs in your life where you go, I had to go through that pain and that waiting period to prepare. Because if the sun came up instantly, we would be like this. It would be shocking. If you get famous too quick, you get everything you want too fast.
But
Beautiful
what are
thing.
we grateful for,
Right.
And even in these times, my New Year's resolution is, instead of saying, I got to go to the gym today, I get to go to the gym.
Oh, Brett, yep.
I get to talk to Chuck, and it's a mindset thing, and it's
life is a gym, right? You go to push weights, exercise, you're pushing yourself. So life is an emotional gym and that goes back to why I think we're here, is to experience things and grow, and we get put challenges in front of us that are for us. And it gives us an opportunity, and like when we get the same ones over and over and over again, we're not learning. And it's like, okay, what's the lesson here? What am I trying to learn? And there's all these analogies with nature, and you put, like somebody had mentioned, a seed, an acorn goes in the ground, and what does it do first? It grows down, the roots, and then it grows up out of nothing.
Towards the light.
Towards the light.
Yeah.
Ralph, man. Ralph Jacodine, thank you so much for coming on.
It's fun to talk.
This is going to be on it. We got to do this again,
Great.
because I think that there was more than we could have done in an hour.
I have more stories.
Yeah. Thank you so much,
Yeah,
my
thanks,
friend.
Chuck.
All right.
All right.